Hello and welcome to the Flourishing Introvert Talks with me, Jo Rawbone. This is the podcast that celebrates the natural gifts of introverts so that we can flourish in all situations.
Episode 252, Socialising on Our Terms. Oh, this is a big topic, and what better time to explore it than over the Christmas and New Year period. In fact, the whole winter season from November through to the end of January is awash with different festivals, so we're going to need to make some choices if we're to survive the whole festive season. Because, introverted or not, there will be some socialising to do. So as you might expect, this short yet pragmatic episode is entirely focused on how we socialise in a way that works for us. Let me start by reiterating that regular introverts, and by that I mean those who do not also have social anxiety, shyness or are misanthropes. So regular introverts are not antisocial. We are, however, selectively social. And our selectivity depends greatly on the charge in our social and emotional batteries. And for me, it also depends on who I'm likely to be interacting with. You see, if they have the same effect on me as Death Eaters, Dementors or energy vampires, those folks who suck the very life force and every ounce of joy from you, I'll decline no matter how charged I feel. But I'll say a little more on that later. Now, sometimes this is hard to explain to others and is probably what got me the reputation of being snobby, stuck up and unsociable. The Dementors struggle when they don't have new energy to feed on. And now I've figured this out and have stronger boundaries in place, I confidently deprive them of my energy and therefore of me being their victim. So one of the problems is managing the expectations of others. It may be bosses and colleagues who don't understand why you're not champing at the bit to go to the Christmas bash. In fact, a recent poll and subsequent post on LinkedIn was bemoaning the fact that 38% of us would prefer cash to a Christmas event with colleagues. No shit, Sherlock. This was presented in the same post that claimed that 1 in 5 of us are lonely at work. I'm guessing those 1 in 5s aren't introverts, and I commented to that end. As you might imagine, I got short shrift because apparently the research proved me wrong and therefore my lived experience wasn't valid. Anyway, when it comes to unrealistic expectations, they might also come from your family, those who should be your nearest and dearest, but are criticising you and likening you to Scrooge or the Grinch. I know having an extroverted sibling who made no effort to understand me or who I really am meant that her side of the family always had something nasty to say, a not so subtle dig or complaint to make about me. C'est la vie. As I already mentioned, when you deny a Dementor their fresh blood, they have to find a way to bite back. Did they have a point, though? Well, I was not always at the big family bashes, or if I was there, I didn't stay long, so they had plenty of opportunity to bitch behind my back. And the result was that my sister persuaded some of my extended family that I was boring, stuck up, and really pretty unfriendly. I know this because one of them told me at her mother-in-law's 90th birthday party that, and I quote, "You're not as bad or snobby as I thought you were." Praise indeed. So why did people think that it was okay to give me and perpetuate this kind of reputation? Mostly it's because I wasn't naturally the life and soul of the party like my sister was. I didn't and still don't revel in gossip and mindless chatter the way that she and her clan did. I preferred to keep myself to myself or would often spend time with the elders at gatherings, learning about their life stories. I loved doing this with my parents as well because they'd lived during the Second World War and had both remarkable experiences and valuable life lessons to share. Do I sound bitter? I hope not, after all these years, as that's something I've worked hard to let go of, but I do want to be able to recall the pain and the hurt of being misunderstood, as so many of my clients will still be feeling that. That way, my empathy is genuine and I can be more effective in helping them. Best of all, I've learned not to mind what people say about me. As Eleanor Roosevelt is credited with saying, "What people think about me is none of my business." So I'm not going to worry about the opinions of those who don't impact my daily life. Actually, my mum used to say that while they're talking about you, yes, she knew what people were saying about me, they're not bad-mouthing anyone else. Small comfort, but comfort nonetheless. All of this is why I can now confidently socialise on my own terms. And as we're currently in the midst of socialising season, even though I don't know when you're actually listening, here are a few of my top tips to help you socialise on your own terms. After all, those invites can roll in throughout the year. Number 1, don't give in to the pressure to respond immediately. There are actually a few reasons for this. Firstly, use the time to check your calendar and see what's going on either side of the event. You may need recovery recharging time from what's just happened before, or additional pre-charging time ahead of the next thing that this new invitation might jeopardise. Secondly, clarify who the other attendees are and where the event will be happening. This enables you to be discerning and make a really informed choice. I find that some venues or specific people deplete my reserves in double quick time, in which case no amount of pre-charging is going to see me right. Number 2, if you want to decline, do it clearly and honestly. Why, oh why, do we think that saying yes or maybe to something we know we're never going to attend in a month of Sundays is more polite or kinder than saying no at the outset? People may have laid on catering or incurred other expenses, including us in their calculations. Plus, being a no-show again just damages our reputation. It's better to say outright, "Thank you for the invitation. It doesn't work for me this time, but do think of me on other occasions." You see, mostly we don't want people to stop inviting us, and notice that I didn't give an excuse or even a reason. I don't need to. I just need to be polite and firm. Number 3, block your pre-charging and recharging time as a non-negotiable. If you're going to socialise on your own terms, do everyone, including yourself, the honour of having sufficient charge in your social battery. If you're attending an event or socialising because you've agreed to, show up as your fully expressed self, optimistic and looking forward to mixing. If you feel reluctant, figure out what it's about and deal with it before you go to the event. I know that may be a big ask, but if you take it with you into the interactions, no one will enjoy the experience, least of all you. Number 4, set your intentions. By this, I mean decide how long you're going to be in socialising mode and get yourself into the right frame of mind. I like to do something to liven me up, like dance to a bit of favourite uplifting music. I have a couple of songs that just hearing the opening bars empowers me and lifts my confidence to the next level. One is Let the River Run by Carly Simon, and the other is So Strong by Labi Siffre. These have been significant for me for a number of years, and I can still remember where I was the first time I heard them. They may not be your taste, but that's not the point. The point is for you to find your own anthems, those powerful pieces of music or prose that lift your spirits. Finally, number 5, don't outstay your intentions unless you really want to. I usually make it quite clear at the start that I only have a certain length of time that I can be there, which gives me permission to leave when I need to. There will be those who cry party pooper at me as I bid farewell to the host and go to collect my coat. And I prefer to say goodbye rather than just sloping off, and here's why. It will often give someone else permission to leave too. It's like they've been waiting for someone to be the first, and I am happy to be that someone. However, I found that sometimes, just sometimes, I enjoy myself rather more than I'd anticipated once I get into the swing of things. So it's not unusual for me to say I can only stay for a short while, only to be there a few hours later, thoroughly enjoying myself and engaged in some really fascinating conversations. What's extra nice is the host normally notices and takes it as a compliment, so it's a win-win when that happens. I will admit that on occasions alcohol lubricates my social interactions and lengthens my stay, but only modestly. I'm not a drunken wastrel, you know. In summary, when invitations come your way, don't give in to the pressure to respond immediately. Be clear and honest in your response. Pre-charge and recharge as necessary. Set your intentions and don't outstay your intentions unless you want to. Now, these 5 points are based on the lessons I've learned and are what helps me to socialise my way. By all means, see which of them works for you and refine or add to them so that you have your own set of pragmatic guidelines. And if you have introverts in your family group or inner circle, help them to develop their socialising blueprint too. Remember, natural introverts are not antisocial. We're selectively social and we're in control of much of that selectivity.
If you enjoyed this episode as much as I did, then please subscribe, rate us and leave a comment, because we know that that helps other people find the podcast. And if other people find us, other introverts can flourish.
You are listening to an Intentional Media Production podcast.